Good afternoon, everybody. It's May 7, 2024, 3:22 p.m. Hope everybody's doing well. We had a very quick thunderstorm. Well, actually, it was torrential. We had torrential rain. There's a possibility it's going to rain again in a couple of hours. And then there's a possibility for, more, I don't know, controlled weather overnight tomorrow, Wednesday, but we'll see how that goes. You never know how it's going to be here in eastern Kentucky. But anyway, thank you so much, subscriber. I won't say your name because you didn't give me permission, for sending me several links to articles discussing AK Forwood, the author of Gang Stalking and Mind Control, the Destruction of Society Through Community Spying Networks, the book that I have been reading on my channel over the last week or so. So she performed some research and found some other articles written by Forwood, who is a targeted person, and also some information, a critique, so to speak, by Dr. Eric Karlstrom on his website, which is gangstalkingmindcontrolcults.com. Exposing the Truth, Anthony Forward analyzes the secret war of controlled chaos and the network inside the targeting system. Guys, you're going to want to hear this. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. Please hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow, get the message out there. It fights the algorithms, which are really bad. And also the cyber stalkers and local neighbors that like to downvote the videos. But I just wanted to give you an update that the honeypot cat is still on the property. I got to get rid of this guy. I've got to figure out either I've got to get rid of him or I've got to trap the cat that he's tormenting. Get him out of the way, because a lot of times, a cat like this is going to go looking for another target. So maybe he'll just take off and wander to somebody else's property who has a female cat. So anyway, let me read this. This is dated July 3rd, 2023. Now, this is after reading the book by Mark M. Rich, The Hidden Evil of Financial Elites' Covert War Against Domestic Population, 2011. And ironically, Mark M. Rich wrote that book in 2011, and Anthony Forwood wrote his book in 2011. What was going on in 2011, huh? Right. We all know what was going on then. Patriot Act. And then in 2012, they started loading people on the watch list. So anyway, let me just read this. This is an epitaph quote. Organized stalking is a cleverly disguised system of torture and, I can't say the word, unaliving, aimed primarily at opponents of the New World Order. Mark M. Rich, The Hidden Evil, The Financial Elites' Covert War Against Domestic Population, 2011. I just want to say something, guys. When I was placed on this list, I didn't even vote. I was non-political. I never went to a rally. I never protested. I never did any of that. So how did I get on here other than possibly pissing off a couple of lawyers, right? Or that there are people behind the scenes that are aware of this program and want to make a buck, okay? So, yeah, so it's saying that it's a cleverly disguised system of torture and unaliving at opponents of the New World Order. I have to tell you guys, when I entered this program back in 2011, 12, whatever it was, 2009, I had no idea what the New World Order was. Clueless. I didn't know what MK Ultra was. I didn't know what Project Paperclip was. I didn't know what the CIA did. I had no idea. I had no idea what the FBI and CIA actually did for a living. I had no idea. Clueless. Clueless. I don't even watch TV. Okay? And, for gang stalking simulation, thank you so much for providing clips of films and movies and stuff, because I don't watch that stuff. So when people start talking about The Matrix, honestly, I never saw the movie. Never saw it. I hate that stuff. I hated Star Wars. I have no interest in the sci-fi stuff. So that's why, like, I appreciate people recommending these videos and old movies and stuff, because again, I am totally clueless. I never watched this stuff, so I was not clued in as to what's going on in the world. Okay, so now the program, which I refer to as the National Security Racketeering Network. You hear that? The National Security Racketeering Network is an extrajudicial political targeting and elimination program. Oh, isn't this nice? The operation is a soft, unalive operation. The expected outcome is self-harm, financial disruption, which they're really good at, social disruption, they're even better at that. They want to get rid of you via any means possible in a clandestine fashion, and also have fun and generate revenue while doing it. These people are sick, let me tell you. This is a style of parasitic crony capitalism because the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and possibly the DoD, which is the Department of Defense, are farming out contracts on innocent Americans. So not only is this a political targeting operation, it is also a revenue generation scheme that starts out within the deep state shadow government and then proffers people at every level. Okay? So Dr. X Keyscore, who evidently has a video, 19 videos. The program is a covert domestic terrorism against and torture of political targets. You know, again, guys, I know so many of you guys, I've spoken to you on the phone, and you are not political. Some of you guys also, like me, didn't vote. You didn't vote for the wrong person. You probably just maybe were a whistleblower, and a couple of you women out there, you were married to a cop and divorced them and then got on the program. So who's the real domestic terrorist? I don't know, guys. We can speculate. So the network is open-ended, so that it's capable of unlimited expansion and can encompass any number of individuals and groups into itself for any number of purposes. It is intended that eventually every person on the planet will be included within its database, either as a member or as a targeted individual, and will be under constant watch and direction. So according to AK Forwood, the network, a look inside the targeting system, and this is Dr. Karlstrom's comment. Anthony, AK Forwood, is an author of Gang Stalking and Mind Control, The Destruction of Society Through Community Spying Networks, 2011. This short book is a good general introduction to the topic of gang stalking. The following two articles, however, are from Forwood's Exposing the Truth website. I'm going to have to find that, guys. Offer considerable, deeper, and more profound insights into the hidden structures and modus operandi of this covert, fascist, communist system of covertly controlling and destroying individuals and societies. TIs, please read these two papers. Forward's observations and speculations are entirely consistent with 1. The abundant information already presented in this website regarding the quote-unquote NSA's global spy network, unquote, the FBI DHS fusion centers, the bogus terrorism watch list, so you know about that one, right? The watch list, the one that has like 12 watch lists, and they keep adding more, and once you get on, you keep shuffling you from list to list to list to list. Of the DHS terrorist screening database TSDB. And number 2, historical development of similar state-sponsored domestic spying, terrorism, and mind control programs, including A, Red Squads, police intelligence units in the U.S. that infiltrated, conducted countermeasures, gathered intelligence, and bold print targeted dissidents and certain political and social groups that threatened the status quo. 1886 to 1978. B. The quote-unquote Red Terror of Soviet Cheka Bolshevik police. 1918 to 1922, also termed the GRU, which is the Main Intelligence Directorate. 1918 to 1991 in the KGB, 1954 to 1991 of the Soviet Union. And letter C, the Nazi Gestapo. The military police ruthlessly eliminated perceived domestic political enemies, 1933 to 45. Now we have to talk about this word perceived, okay? Perception. And I'm going to just tell you a quick story about perception. When I lived in New York City, I joined a museum walking tour. We would meet every Saturday, had a whole group of us, and we would walk from museum to museum to museum. And we had a moderator. I remember he took us to the Guggenheim, and we're looking at this huge painting. And he purposely had us separate and look at it from different perspectives, quote unquote. So he'd have a group of us on the left, a group on the right, some of us in the middle, and then he would point to us and ask us what we saw. What did we view? From the different angles that we were viewing the painting. And obviously we all had something else to say. This is clearly demonstrable analogy of what perception is. It depends on how you are viewing the item, the topic. What about your background? What about your childhood? What about your education? Right? What about your political dealings? What about the people behind the scenes that are telling you what to think and do? Your perceptions are not always the truth. It's merely how you are perceiving a situation. And perception has a myriad of undertones. It's sort of like when I started photographing all the criminals around me and how they were unaliving my cats. And then I'd start blowing up the photos, and I would see stuff that I would have never seen had I not blown up those images. So when the Nazi Gestapo military police eliminated people based upon their perceived domestic political enemies, could you only imagine their distorted viewpoints? That was 1933 to 45. And then a D is the CIA's top MK Ultra and related mind control behavioral control programs, 1953 to present. It never ended. Present. Targeted vulnerable populations, including prisoners, soldiers, the mentally ill, poor, blacks, children, for predominantly non-consensual experimentation, personality modification, torture, and unaliving. E. My favorite Bureau of Instigation. Top secret COINTELPRO counterintelligence program. Domestic T, ERROISIM. 1956 to 71, targeted leftist groups, the Black Panthers, civil rights activists, anti-war activists. Oh, and you know, they don't like animal rights activists either. They don't like that. FCIA, M16 NATO, top secret Operation Gladio, a secret program of extreme right-wing, state-sponsored domestic T, operating through covert networks and stay-behind armies from 1958 through 1990, targeted communists and leftist group. G. CIA's Phoenix program of domestic T, torture and unaliving of the Vietnamese civilians, 1965 to 72, targeted civilians labeled Viet Cong sympathizers. Remember that Vietnam War? Did we create that war? Do we create all the wars? Is that our job? To just instigate and create war. H. CIA's top secret MH Chaos surveillance and domestic T program 67 to 74 targeted anti-war activists, leftists, and dissidents. Again, remember, these are perceived, right? These are psychopaths. Imagine the perception of a psychopath, right? And they're the ones that are targeting the world, targeting people for profit. Oh, if you don't think like them, you're out. J, the global war on T. That's not testosterone, guys. On T. Fourth generational warfare revolution in military affairs, 1980s onward, is a global counter-T military campaign waged against foreign and domestic enemies, including both state and non-state actors that utilize directed energy weapons, often referred to as non-lethal weapons. Now, guys, that is a total oxymoron. Non-lethal weapons, oh yeah, just because it doesn't hurt you the first time, but if they do it, every night when you're sleeping, eventually the plausible deniability, oh, you just die from natural causes, yeah. All elements of unconventional warfare can now be directed against anyone, anywhere, anytime. America's war planners wish. The battle space, quote unquote, is now your neighborhood and includes the space between your ears, which is your brain. Adversaries are designated as terrorists, and potential T threats, targeted individuals, targeted audiences, etc. In K, after 9/11, the state-sponsored false flag synthetic attacks by U.S. interagencies in 2001, Bush rolls out the new rules of the global war on T. Henceforth, anyone designated as a T is not protected by international laws of any kind. Oh, well, thank you, Thomas Mantle of the Manalapan Police Department piece of crap that you are, labeling me a T threat, a terror threat, on an incident report while I'm walking on my driveway, you little piece of crap. Hell's got a special place for you. Not protected by international laws of any kind. They can be tracked, tortured, unalived, used in non-consensual medical and weapons testing experiments. Yeah, Thomas Mantle, Manalapan Police Department, Edward NIS, Michael Fountain, all you pieces of crap, you little hockey puck club effers, placing people on the list to be tortured with no due process, to line your little pockets, you pieces of crap. I will never stop speaking out against you pieces of crap. Henceforth, the war on terror will root out these individuals designated as terrorists by government, wherever they are. Henceforth, the war on terror is everywhere and is waged by all sectors of society against any political enemies of the United States or cooperating governments. In 2003, Department of Homeland Security called for over 100 million American citizens to act as the domestic national security force. And in 2009, presidential candidate Obama asserts that the U.S. needs a civilian national security force as large as the U.S. military. Our tax dollars hard at work. These programs coalesce after 9/11 with community-oriented policing programs to become the national and global gang stalking program. Those are your neighbors, the community watch group, the criminals on patrol, I call them mops and cops, morons on patrol and criminals on patrol. That's what they are, mops and cops. M. In 2003, Department of Homeland Security called for over 100 million American citizens to act as a domestic national security force. And in 2009, I'm sorry, I just read this. Sorry, let's go down here. N. In 2013, the European Union launched the Human Brain Project. Oh, this is where it gets really bad, guys. The same year, President Obama, his brain Initiative, which is the Brain Research through Advancing Innovative Neuro-Technologies Initiative, agreed to supply, get this, targeted people. He agreed to supply human test subjects for this research. Whoever voted for Obama, this is what you voted for. The Human Brain Project. He agreed to supply human test subjects for this research. Oh, since then, DARPA and Georgetown University's neuroscientist, neuroweaponologist, psychopath, Dr. James Giordano and his colleagues have advocated for a whole of government and a whole of nation approach to deploy, test, and develop neuroweapons on quote-unquote targets. We are targeting the brain, he says. I'm sure every targeted person has seen him give that lecture. 3. My previous conclusions that organized stalking, electronic harassment compromises A, the global Gestapo, global Phoenix program, and B, a primary component of cognitive warfare, CW. A new 6th warfare domain supported by other 5 domains of land, sea, air, space, and cyberspace. Cognitive warfare, CW, neural warfare, brain warfare, psychological, psychotronic warfare now comprises the new 6th warfare domain supported by the other 5 domains, land, sea, air, space, and cyberspace. CBA utilizes high-technology neuroweapons as well as cyber and psychological warfare, cyber torture, cyber terrorism against targeted individuals and audiences, i.e., for example, dissidents, whistleblowers, etc. You know, if you're a parent that speaks out at a board meeting, if you're exercising your right to walk on your property and you get unalived by police officers with low impulse control, and they go to the wrong house because they didn't look up the right address and they unalive you while dragging you out of your house, kill your dog, you know, all that stuff. 4. The explosive revelations of child, kiddo, I can't say it, you know, like the traffic light, kiddos, MK Ultra, and satanic ritual abuse of victim and CIA assassin, sex slave asset Fiona Barnett in her book, her online book, called Eyes Wide Open. Oh, and by the way, you got to see that film, Eyes Wide Shut, with Nicole Kidman. Everything you wanted to know about the Deluminati but didn't want to know. You could go watch that film. See Appendix 203, Eyes Wide Open, a Lockdown Edition 2020 book. It's a PDF by Fiona Barnett. Australian SRA mind control, child, kiddo, traffic light, victim, whistleblower, and targeted individual. Thus, while the U.S. government, CIA, NSA, DOD, NSA, NATO, FBI, DOJ, law enforcement, and their corporate partners, private intelligence agencies, myriad front companies, cutouts, cults, political puppets, collaborators, informers, civilian gang stalkers, and foreign partners. Well, come on, Dr. Karlstrom, you left somebody out, right? What about those 3 Masons? Come on, you left them out here. You know about the 3 Masons. So we're going to add here the civilian gang stalkers, the 3 Masons, foreign partners compromise the backbone of this taxpayer-funded system. The network, National Security Racketeering Network, may ultimately be under the control of the world's wealthiest individuals who in turn belong to various interlocking satanic secret societies. Okay, I spoke too soon, Dr. Karlstrom. Here he says it. Freemasonry and the Illuminati come immediately to mind. Thank you, Dr. Karlstrom. I knew that you knew. The great strength of our order lies in its concealment. Let it never appear in any place in its own name, but always covered by another name and another occupation. That is a quote by Adam Weishaupt, founder of the Grand Lodge of the Illuminati, 1776. I guess he knows a thing or two. So, note, the Red Squads trace back to the age of the robber barons. That's the Rockefellers, the Harrimans, the Carnegies, the Morgans, the Goulds, etc. These have been shown to be agents of the Rothschild dynasty. Thus, it's probably not a stretch of the imagination to trace organized stalking political repression operations then, as in now, to the Illuminati Rothschilds, who, in addition to being Judeo-Masonic Satanists, have to be the richest, most powerful family in the world for over 200 years. Actually, I only learned this recently, guys. Honestly, I only learned this recently. As is detailed in the first 3 parts of this series, the Rothschild family, also known as the King of the Jews. I actually didn't know that they were Jewish either. I don't know. I thought they were WASPs, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Okay, so I'm sorry. I had no idea. Totally clueless about the world. Has funded the Illuminati Order of Death since its founding in 1776 in order to bring in the Jewish utopia, Tikkun Olam, reinventing of the world, Antichrist kingdom. I don't know what that is. I'm just reading. Just YouTube, just for the record, I'm reading an article. These are not my opinions. I'm just reading an article. So now, Social Self-Destruction, A Secret War of Controlled Chaos, 2011 to 2014. Thursday, October 13, 2011. The Secret War of Controlled Chaos by Anthony Forwood, copyright 2011-14, all rights reserved. The age of secrecy and covert control. We are living in a new type of society. What we remember life to have been like only 30 to 50 years ago, and the ideals and beliefs that we once commonly held about our society and ourselves no longer apply. We used to fully accept and even cherish the idea that each person had the freedom to live, think, and act in whatever manner that they might choose, as long as it didn't negatively affect anyone else and impinge upon their freedoms. A man's home was his castle, and that went on. There was nobody's business but his own. We didn't judge others too strongly for their differences, and often found those differences in others to be novel and interesting and enjoyable for their very uniqueness and originality. However, over the years, the rights and freedoms that we once enjoyed and were meant to preserve our individuality and by extension the natural progression of the evolution of our species have been stripped away bit by bit over the years, and at an ever-increasing rate until our entire global society has been turned into something far less desirable or as promising as it once was. We have become so distracted by our technologies that few of us realize this. The advances in technology, more than anything else in our entire human history, have caused incredible and sudden changes to our world. Not only do technological advances affect the way that we do things, but also how we think and what we believe. The ever-increasing rate that these changes are taking place have kept us moving along at a rapid pace that leaves us unable to stop long enough to seriously consider what effect they're having on us. These constant and rapid changes caused by advances in technology are leading us into a future that we have less and less control of as ordinary citizens, and at an ever greater cost to our individual freedom and security. Technology has always been praised and promoted as a huge benefit and advancement, promising to eliminate problems, providing greater freedoms. Although they might easily do so, few people seem to realize or are unwilling to admit that no problems have ever been eliminated by our use of technology without creating a multitude of new ones, nor that we have ever really gained any more freedoms at all, but have instead become more enslaved by those who control the technologies. I don't know, guys. I can think of a few people out there that control a lot of the technologies. Can't you? This isn't by accident. The people who make the decisions that affect our lives claim it's all in our best interest and that nothing, not even Mother Nature, should stand in the way of progress. The problems that are created by past changes become the excuse to advance further changes, and this is all defined as progress. The fact is, no real progress is actually being made, at least not for the majority of us, and it is even avoided through the use of a standard bait and switch maneuver, like a stage magician who distracts his audience with one hand while the other hand does something unseen, creating an illusion with a series of carefully planned maneuvers that draw attention away from the truth of what's really going on. We're also mystified and in awe of how technology is being used and the implications of that. And we don't ever consider how it could be used in much better ways. But the problem I'm presenting here isn't just about misdirection of technological progress. It goes much deeper into the structure of society than what technology has wrought to the point, and now encompasses virtually every aspect of society, from the highest levels of governmental power throughout the business and social sectors, creeping into every profession, belief system, lifestyle, into homes, neighborhoods, schools, and streets. This problem is one that encroaches on every possible action or endeavor that might be undertaken by any person or group, so that there is no certainty anymore that even the smallest details of events of our lives aren't manipulated by unseen forces. Technology has crept into our lives to the point that no real power can ever fall into the hands of any but those few at the top. And whatever forms of new power that might arise will just as quickly be siphoned away into their hands as well. All of this is possible through the technologies we've been led into accepting and adapting to, not giving much thought to what purposes they might be put to later on, and how defenseless they might render us to the total domination of the elite who ultimately control them. And that goes for the scientists out there, the technologists out there that work on these things and never question what it is that they're doing. And then when they find out, they continue working on the projects because that's the way they receive their grants. Put up or shut up. Technology might be considered neutral and even good on its own, but when it's controlled and directed by only a few, it becomes so prevalent and relied on throughout every area of society, just as we see occurring in the world today. It offers an incredible power to enslave and manipulate both individuals and entire populations. Power is the game, and we're all just playing pieces. In order to properly understand the true state of affairs within our society and how it could even be possible, we need to first consider a number of things that have proven to be crucial elements in fostering such a state without us being aware of it occurring. These elements of the greater plan for total control were established first, so that technology and the power it offers could be kept under the strict control of those who decided on how it would be developed, promoted, and applied. Secrecy. It's a common misconception that governments can't keep secrets. Of course there's some truth to this, but for the most part, it's a false assumption. Governments can certainly keep secrets when they want to, and very effectively for that matter. In fact, the government keeps a lot of secrets about a lot of things. Some of these secrets eventually reach the public awareness, but many others never do. Still, other secrets are already out there in plain view, yet still remain in the realm of urban myth as far as most people are concerned. For the years that it was in operation, the now famous Manhattan Project was kept absolutely secret from everybody, but a very small number of people who were directly involved. It was only when the first atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki that anyone else learned anything about this secret project. The knowledge that this project took place is now public, but the deeper knowledge that it was used to develop actual bomb remains in the realm of secrecy. So, secrets can be kept. The methods used to contain the secret program were very effective, and have become standardized and expanded on the point now that secrets can very often be right out in the open while still remaining secret. Right? The truth in plain sight for eyes who see. They have to put it out there. And they say that we're profane, that we're stupid, we don't know what's going on. Because they put the truth out there. They put it out there in the movies. But we're so stupid that we can't figure it out. To understand this better, we need to ask ourselves a very important question. What constitutes a secret? And when does it become public knowledge? The way we accept something as true or not true is what determines whether we believe it. And that goes for the slander campaign that spread in communities, that these mops and cops spread through the communities. They spread a bunch of lies and morons believe it. So there are two types of information that we rely on for obtaining the information we use to determine our belief whether something is true or not true. The first is through direct and personal experience. The second is through those secondhand sources of information that we trust as reliable. You hear that? The secondhand sources that we trust as reliable. Unless we receive our information in one of these two ways, it's usually not easily accepted by us as being completely reliable. At the very least, verification from some greater direct experience or from more trusted source will usually be wanted. Guys, leave a comment down below. I mean, do you trust, like if somebody came knocking on your door and saying, could you help us? Does anybody in your neighborhood look suspicious? Would you trust that person? See that video out there? The people have posted and reposted about the FBI going door to door and stumbling across this one guy who refuses to participate. And he shows up with the sheriff and another thug, trying to coerce him into helping him. Yeah. So let's look at the typical way that this can work to keep secrets. If the average person were to claim that they had seen a flying saucer and its alien occupants, we would normally write it off as a lie, or at best, a gross misinterpretation of that person's perceptions. However, if the President of the United States were to go on national television and announce to the world that a flying saucer had landed at the White House and otherworldly occupants had formally presented themselves to him in a galactic greeting, we would be more than likely to believe it. Not me, honey. No. If the government is telling you something, you definitely don't believe it. Come on, guys. No. The White House had a galactic meeting with a flying saucer. Do you believe? Please leave a comment down below. Do you believe that could happen? Come on, guys. We would be far more likely to believe it, even though we hadn't actually experienced it any more than someone we trust telling us this information. I would sooner believe it from somebody that I trusted than the White House. God, my goodness. We're more likely than automatically accepted as true because of our trust in the source of the information. Oh, yeah. Yep. Another influence on our beliefs is, at least when the first two sources of information are absent, is the influence of common consensus. That would be either through peer pressure or public opinion. Okay, most of you guys, we don't give in to peer pressure, so that doesn't work for us, okay? Public opinion, well, it's a public opinion. That's it. It's the same as peer pressure. It doesn't work for me. In these cases, although being much less authoritative in nature, they still hold a great deal of sway over what we will tend to believe or accept. Even though something might be completely wrong, if enough people accept it as true, and it's hard to prove otherwise, this will often be enough to lead most others to blindly accept it as well. This usually only works in cases where definite facts that would decide the truth are hard to come by, and where rationality that is based on the limited information available tends to make the claim seem plausible enough to accept. That's when you turn inward and you trust your intuition, right? You don't blindly believe this nonsense, guys. The only things that keep people from believing certain things is the fact that they never experienced it personally, or haven't been told by a trustable enough source, or in the worst case, haven't been influenced to believe it through the pressure of public opinion. This is why you should not watch television. This is why I don't watch TV. This is why I didn't vote, why I never followed politics, why I had no idea what the CIA or FBI did for a living. Totally clueless. I did not care. Whatever. I know now. I know what they do now. The fact that many people continue reporting seeing UFOs and their occupants make little difference. If such sightings aren't experienced personally or officially confirmed to be real extraterrestrial phenomenon, or such sightings haven't been accepted by such enough of the population, they aren't believed to what is claimed, and something more plausible is assured. All this shows is a secret doesn't have to be completely hidden from public awareness to remain a secret. Its full truth only has to be obscured by the lack of its admission by those trusted authorities who might know, and be outside of most people's direct personal experience or ability to find out. That's the clue. The key there is the ability to find out additional information. This is why they want to ban TikTok. Beyond that, something can be discussed and investigated and promoted as true. But unless a person is exposed to tangible first-hand evidence, they will very likely still continue to doubt it if something is of an extraordinary nature. But more than just this is required to maintain secrecy, obviously. In order to assure that something remains a secret, it's important to control the information surrounding it. This means being in control of both who knows about it and what they know about it. I don't know, what comes to mind here are the secret societies. They control what you know about it and but they control both who knows about it and what they know about it. So anyway, I'm going to end on the note that the article is much longer. The next subject is compartmentalization. I cannot post a link to this article in the description section, but you can go to Dr. Eric Karlstrom's website, or you can research A.K. Forwood. He's got a blog. There's more information on him I'd like to read at a future date. But we're coming on almost 45 minutes here, so I'm going to end here. Please hit the thumbs up. Remember to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so that you receive notifications. Share if you feel inclined to do so. I thank everybody that shared some of the videos I've put out there recently in my book reading. And actually someone read it on a podcast over the weekend, which thank you so much to that person in Australia. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading, exposing one criminal at a time, especially in the Manalapan, New Jersey Police Department.